This My Thoughts Monday is brought to you by Kinetic Performance, the makers of the Rolls-Royce of barbell monitoring technology, the GymAware. Guys, in season training, we rock the GymAware all the time for quite a few reasons. The first, of course, is just that, the ding. Every time the athlete hears that, they know that they're hitting exactly what we need from them at that moment. And when they don't hear it, it brings out that extra little bit of competitiveness within themselves. On top of that, that awesome ding ends out bringing together the athletes as well, pushing each other and getting each other to be able to hit numbers that they probably wouldn't hit at that portion of the year. And finally, of course, that ding helps us monitor, manipulate, and keep track of volumes and intensities so we can best dose our athletes during the season at the right time with the right amount. Guys, hop over to kinetic.com.au and check out what Evan and the team down there have, because this is absolutely a sensational product that's changed the way that we've trained our athletes. This edition of My Thoughts Monday is brought to you by Valid Performance, the team behind the Nordboard, Force Decks, the Groin Bar, and Human Track. Guys, the most important ability for all of our athletes is availability, and that's the absolute goal of Valid Performance, is to provide solutions to performance professionals so that we can get the right information to make the right decision at the right time for the betterment of the athletes that we get to work with. To do this, guys, they have a wide range of validated products that focus on usability, and having being founded by the School of Exercise and Nutrition Sciences at the Queensland University of Technology, they're extremely evidence-based and they're beyond transparent. I can tell you that our time using the Nordboard and being involved with Force Decks, we have been introduced to so many amazing people that have truly helped us become better coaches, have a better understanding, not just of the technology, but also what we're doing with our athletes. So make sure you hop over to valperformance.com today to make sure you check out what they got. It's going to make you better and to do better by your athletes. Hey, what's happening, everybody? DeMayo coming at you with this week's edition of My Thoughts Monday. And guys, this is going to be a little bit of a rant, so I apologize in advance. But you know, I've had a bunch of conversations over the last 2 weeks. Again, going back to Cav and Moyer's event up there in Northern Virginia at the SSI, and these conversations typically revolve around, you know, what you're doing for X, Y, or Z when it comes to trying to train or develop certain adaptations with the athletes that you get the opportunity to work with. And one thing that I think consistently hits home in these conversations is when people start talking about how other people do things. You know, the idea of like, oh, I mean, that's not how I do it, you know, or everything doesn't work for everybody, or, you know, it's that works for their guys, which is great. I mean, and it is. It's awesome. But I think there's something that we need to do better, and I think that we need to start talking more and more about results and what we're actually quantifying as improvements. And that's hard. That's challenging, because when we start looking at what we're actually trying to improve, whether or not we're improving it really could shed some different light on what we're doing as a vocation when it comes to the athletes we get to work with. And I don't think it matters, you know, what you're quantifying, what you're evaluating, what numbers you're looking at, right? Like, if you're only sitting here and the only quantification that you're looking at is body weight, because your sport coach that you are trying to help their athletes perform at a higher level truly believes that the only thing that the athletes need is to gain body weight and to be bigger, then the program you're using is having them gain body weight and improve in size, or whatever we want to call it, then it's successful. You know, if you're sitting here looking at a program and you're talking about, well, we only want to make sure that the athletes are available and we want to make sure that injuries are down. Well, if you can quantify practice time lost or game time lost or things like that, then you can now quantify whether you're successful with your goal or not, right? So to sit here and look at programs like we all do too often and talk about how, like, this is garbage or that's garbage because it doesn't necessarily fit into the agenda that you have for what you're trying to accomplish with the training program, I think is kind of garbage. I think it's trash. I think that, you know, we've all done it, and I'm no exception to this rule where we look at things and we're like, oh, well, that's just X, Y, or Z, and it doesn't matter. It's not important. But in that situation, it was important. In that situation, it does work for them. But on top of that, I also think that if we're not quantifying it, then we have nothing to talk about, right? Like, we can sit here and talk about Team X's speed program because they've got some of the fastest athletes in the country. But if their speed program didn't actually get them faster, then all it is an exercise program. Like, who cares? It's a busy program. It's a time-consuming program. So if we're going to start talking about this is what I do for X and this is what I do for Y, then I need to know what your X and Y are. What are your before and afters? What worked, what didn't? How are we improving? What parts of that program are the most important? What modifications were needed to be made to that program? Like, sitting here and just saying, we do these drills for speed, but have never quantified or taken a time or actually evaluated the different parts of whatever you're looking at, kind of bullshit. Like, it's trash. Like, we can talk about, oh, well, this is going to make you faster, but did it? Like, we can talk about, oh, well, this is going to make you stronger and leaner and all these things, but did it? Like, did you take body weight? Did you track it every day? Did you look at how it fluctuated? How often were you looking at body comp? How were you looking at body comp? How are you accounting for the error that comes with taking body comp? When you're looking at speed, how are you measuring it? How are you breaking it down? How are you looking at different aspects of the race? You know, were you looking at it as in depth as even Flanagan talked about in that episode of the podcast, where you're looking at different aspects of the race and Z scores and looking at like 0 to 10 versus the whole 40. Like, do they accelerate better? Or do they just run a 40 better? Or do they not run the 40 better, but they run the 10 better? Or they run the middle 20 better? You know, are you able to look and peel the onion back to the different layers to find what is working and what isn't, to help share that with people? Because at the end of the day, we can sit here and we can talk about all these tools and toys and cool things that different people are doing from around the world. But if you're not giving me hard data and numbers to show me that you're getting better at what you're training for, then bro, who cares, man? Like who cares? Like, there are some sensational things out there that people are doing, you know? And people look at different things and they don't quantify them, but because someone says something about something, like, this will make you faster, all of a sudden it's all over Instagram and people are doing it everywhere. But did you look at a stopwatch? Like, does it get them faster? Like, does doing these specific type of exercises or using these different modalities actually make people bigger or leaner or increase hypertrophy at different areas? Like, we don't know. Like, can you show me that data? Like, there's few people out there like Håkan Anderson and Hank Krusenhoff who, like, when they tell you these things, like, you know that they have the data to back it up. Like, it's not anecdotal. They've taken the times. Hank's looked at the biopsies. Like, these people have done these things and they've found ways to improve the athletes, and they've quantified it with numbers and made it be known that it's like, this is real. This is how this goes. These are the way things happen. But when we just sit here and start throwing equipment at people and start doing these things that we say does these things without actual information saying that it does things, really, at the end of the day, I think what we're doing is putting our athletes more towards harm than we are doing it good. Because at the end of it all, if we're just exercising, we're wasting their time, we're breaking them down, and we're living in that middle zone, right, that Charlie Francis said to stay out of. So take the time, record the numbers, understand what's helping, find better ways to dive into the information, and share it, man. Like, for real. Like, if you're doing something that you haven't done before, and all of a sudden kids are getting faster, or, man, coach really wanted them to look bigger, and we changed our program, and we did this, and now all of a sudden Everybody's walking around jacked and tan, and it's sensational. Share it. Talk about it. Don't keep it to yourself, because you know what? Like Bob Alejo said, tell me what they call it now, and I'll tell you what we used to call it then. Chances are it's already been done. Maybe you put a little twist on it. Maybe it's something that was done so long ago and fell out of fad, and now nobody does it. And maybe you are the person that's going to help people realize, oh, well, we never should have walked away from that. That's something we should do to help people. So, I don't know if I would go as far to say, like Carl does, that it's a crime not to time. But if you're going to tell me it's your speed program, I really want to know where they get faster. If you're going to tell me this is your strength program, I want to know how much stronger they got. Because that way, I can look at what you're doing, you can look at what I'm doing, and if you're doing better than me, dope. Let's talk about how my program can be more like yours. If I'm doing better than you, dope. Let's talk about how my program can help yours be better for your athletes. So at the end of the day, there ain't no secrets. There's nobody really doing anything that's new. It's just people changing some words and some vernacular to really try to make themselves sound cool. As always, guys, appreciate your time and everything you do for us here at Central Virginia Sport Performance. We'll be back next week with another My Thoughts Monday. I will see you then.